Everyone goes to Rotten Tomatoes now to check the movie scores, to see, if the movie's worth watching. And you even buy movies now that say certified fresh from Rotten Tomatoes, so it must be good. I see that all the time, and honestly, there's a lot of movies that Rotten Tomatoes say are good and they're actually pretty bad. I think you should make the decision on your own. That lends itself into today's video. Top 5 horror movies that are actually pretty good, even though they have a low Rotten Tomatoes score. Number 5, Tusk. This movie, I believe, has like a 40-something Rotten Tomatoes score, and it's pretty good. It's like a mixture of, horror and comedy. I mean, it's very awkward comedy, but this movie, when it came out, I remember seeing that, that had not just low Rotten Tomatoes scores, but it also had a low rating on IMDb, and I'm like, really? Kevin Smith, for the most part, makes good movies, And I had already seen Red State, I had already seen his take on that genre, so I wanted to see him do a full horror movie. And it's a genuinely, not just scary, but it's creepy and it's original. It's not based on anything other than a podcast story that they were talking about, and he turned it into a movie. If I see on Rotten Tomatoes those like really crappy like jump scare movies get higher ratings and this doesn't, come on now. Number 4, Freddy vs. Jason. Freddy vs. Jason got a 41 Rotten Tomatoes score, and it's pretty good. I mean, like, here's the thing. This movie was originally going to be released in the 90s. It was going to be released right after Jason Goes to Hell was released. And at that point, New Line had the rights to both Jason and Freddy, but it was in development hell. So everyone was waiting with anticipation after that ending in Jason Goes to Hell, where Freddy comes and takes the mask. And it took a long time, but eventually happened. And I like that when you watch Freddy vs. Jason, it doesn't ignore the events of what happened in Jason Goes to Hell. It acknowledges it, so it's technically canonical. And it's gory, it's funny, it brings Robert Englund back. The only person who I believe didn't come back was Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder, the last time he did the role, he will eventually, I think, do it in Jason X, but he didn't do it in Freddy vs. Jason. And it's a shame because he's iconic with the character of Jason. But even still, really gory. It was also, the choreography and the fights are pretty cool for a horror movie. And there's some unexpected deaths and some really funny parts. So I like it. Is it like an avant-garde, horror movie that's, no, it's no Halloween like the original Halloween, but it's a fun movie and it doesn't deserve a 41% Rotten Tomatoes score. Number 3 is a movie that I really like, and it's actually one of the few movies that I like from Paul W.S. Anderson, and that movie is Event Horizon. So right after the success of Mortal Kombat, he went on to direct Event Horizon. He didn't end up doing Mortal Kombat Annihilation. That was directed by John R. Leonetti, who would go on to do Annabelle, the first Annabelle. He's a terrible director, it's a terrible movie, but anyway, Event Horizon I really like. It's basically a horror movie in space. Imagine, being in a ship where it knows your fears and knows everything about you and it uses and manipulates you. Sam Neill does a really good job being really creepy in this movie. It's almost Hellraiser in space. It's basically what Hellraiser Bloodline wasn't. This movie has a 27% Rotten Tomatoes score. My God, it's not that bad. I would put this as a 60%, rating. I liked it, and I know a lot of people out there like it too. It's very gory, it's not, tame the gore. And yes, it's simplistic, it's very predictable in the sense, it's kind of like people getting killed kind of in your typical slasher movie, but it's unique in the way it tells the story. It's like a mixture of Hellraiser and your horror movies like Alien in space. So number 2 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. This movie has a 48 Rotten Tomatoes score. And this movie, which is directed by Tobe Hooper, and it's a direct sequel to the first one, was considered so different to the first movie. And I like that. This movie was produced and released through Canon, and Canon, I'm glad that they let him do whatever the hell he wanted, and I really dig this movie, more so than any of the subsequent sequels. They tried doing more of the same, and here he tried turning it more into a comedy. And there's so many lines that make me laugh every time I rewatch this movie. So it doesn't deserve that rating. If you can just chill and not, think of this as such a fully direct sequel and more like a bit of a parody in the sense of what was done in the first movie, you're gonna have a good time. And there's a really cool sequence at the end with a chainsaw. I love it. Number 1 is one of the most underrated movies from John Carpenter, and that is In the Mouth of Madness, which was recently released on Blu-ray through Shout Factory. It's a 59% score. In this movie, I would put it at an 80. I really, really like this movie. The movie's actually really scary, and it has one of my favorite endings in a horror movie, which I will not ruin. You're gonna have to watch that for yourself. But the story is very simple. It's basically Sam Neill is hunting down a writer who wrote a book that's making people go crazy, and anybody who reads it loses their minds. And the movie makes you think, like, what's reality and what's fiction? This movie was released in '95 and it still holds up for being pretty genuine and pretty scary. And it should be mentioned with other movies that John Carpenter has made, you know, movies like The Thing and Halloween, you know, and such. These are the 5 horror movies that have low Rotten Tomato scores, but are actually very good. You don't have to rely on these sites to decide whether a movie is good or not. Make up your own mind as to what you like or don't like. I love Freddy Got Fingered, and that shit has a low score on everything. But hey, I'm just me. So you be you. Anyway, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, share, do all the things that, you know, I usually tell you in every other video that you typically don't. I know you already closed out this video already. But anyway, guys, until next time, bye.